Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the new Model Y nearing production, new Tesla features, Tesla Supercharger updates, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, Tesla has just rolled out the latest software updates to both their app and vehicles, which brings some pretty interesting features on both ends. App version 4.33 didn't bring any major updates to the app, but it did include some code that points towards a major update coming soon. A user on X found mentions within the app to something referred to as Summon V2, the updated version of Smart Summon, which is expected to arrive with FSD version 12.5 or 12.6. The app also makes reference to something called Summon Pre-Warning, which sounds like an improvement on the existing Summon Standby feature. This way your car will stay active and ready for you to summon at a moment's notice. Soon after, Tesla rolled out app version 4.33.5, which saw some minor changes like the removal of the floating chat icon for Tesla's virtual assistant. This feature can still be reached by tapping the Ask a Question button at the top of any support page. As for the recent update to their vehicles, Tesla actually included a bunch of small changes and improvements in their recent 2024.14 update. Here's a quick rundown of some of the changes made to their cars that weren't actually listed in the update notes. Several sections of the app saw some minor UI changes. To start, the Entertainment app has been eliminated since the Arcade, Toy Box, and Theater sections were all accessible from their own unique app icons. You can now no longer switch between the apps using the tabs that were previously at the top of the Entertainment app. Instead, you have to manually click between the apps from their dedicated icons. Within the Theater app, the streaming service icons have been made to be much larger than before. The media player has been enlarged for an easier and more intuitive user experience. Now, a number of options have been included in the player that previously were buried deeper in another menu. Those include access to EQ, audio settings, search, shuffle, and repeat. Further on the audio side, the option to turn off access to explicit audio content now also applies to Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and streaming more generally. Navigation has seen a few small updates, including a new app icon design and an update to the visuals within the app. Now your navigation path will turn gray as you drive along it, signaling which part of your journey you have completed already. The climate controls have also received a new app icon that can be pinned to the dock instead of just tapping on the current temperature. When you create a driver profile, your car will encourage you to create it as a cloud-based profile through the Tesla app. This way, you can access your Tesla profile inside of any vehicle. The vehicle visualization has been updated with a number of small dots that you can tap to open things like the frunk, trunk, and charge board. You can also now pause your trunk while it is in the middle of opening or closing. Several menus have been updated to give you easier access to several features within your car. More features have been added to the quick controls section as well, including easier access to the fold mirrors, child lock, and window lock buttons. The search bar will now be permanently displayed on top of the menu list rather than being the first item in the list. The auto shift UI has been made more compact on the left side of the screen for cars that have that. The status bar icons for Wi-Fi and driver profiles have been moved left of center screen instead of on top, and the speedometer numbers have been made larger. While your car is charging, more information is displayed on screens such as charge limit, current power, total energy added, number of phases, as well as the current amperage and voltage. In addition to all of that, Tesla has also rolled out an improvement to the autopilot visualizations in both the standard and full screen view. Your car will now display more vehicles on screen and show when their turn signals and brake lights are engaged. These updates didn't bring out any major changes, but it goes to show how dedicated Tesla is to their software-based approach. Every feature, down to the smallest detail, is constantly being analyzed and worked on to give the maximum amount of functionality to the user. Next up today, after the world got its first look at the updated Model 3 and all of the numerous improvements that came with that car, we all naturally wanted to know one thing. What about the Model Y? The Model Y is Tesla's best-selling vehicle, and the best-selling vehicle in the world. So naturally, people wanted to see these improvements make their way to this car. We've known for a while now that Tesla has been working behind the scenes on a project codenamed Juniper that will see a major refresh of this vehicle. While the Model 3's refresh was a pretty big deal after 7 years being on the market, the Model Y is an even bigger deal simply because of its popularity. Currently in the US as well, it's the car which has every trim qualifying for a tax credit. So far, Tesla has been pretty secretive as to what exactly this upgrade will bring, and has even communicated that it wouldn't be coming this year. They seem to be dealing with a lot of customers waiting to buy this car until it gets a refresh, which is why they have communicated that. It's also likely contributing to the recent price drops, the new long-range rear-wheel drive version being introduced, and the interest rate incentives, which were available through May. So far, it has been incredibly secretive, but we've just gotten our first real look at this upcoming vehicle. A video was leaked from Tesla's Berlin factory that shows a Model Y unit completely covered in a camouflage wrap. This video was taken from a long distance, and the wrap is covering most of the vehicle's distinctive elements, but a lot of people are guessing that this is a prototype of the Juniper Model Y. The completely camouflaged covers are very reminiscent of what we saw in the lead up to the release of the Highland Model 3. We expect that this vehicle will share a lot of the improvements that we saw with the Model 3, but Tesla may have some additional surprises in store for their most popular vehicle. Currently, we expect the Juniper Model Y to have an upgraded interior made of higher quality materials, quieter soundproofed glass, ventilated seats, a rear touchscreen, and an LED accent light bar throughout the cabin. A leaked photo from Giga Berlin shows the updated center console from what we believe to be a Juniper Model Y. It has an updated wireless phone charging pad and otherwise greatly resembles what we have seen from the new Model 3. That car also saw the removal of the windshield wiper and turn signal stalks from the steering wheel. That move has been pretty controversial among customers, but given Elon Musk's stance on input equaling error, then we can probably expect that change will come to the Model Y as well. I have to say that it's something you really get used to. I've been driving the Model 3 without stocks since February, and there are very few times when I actually wish a stock was there. Most times I actually prefer it without. On the outside, we can expect to see the updated head and taillight design, which should greatly distinguish this car from all others sold since launch. It will also bring an improved suspension system for a smoother ride, and increased aerodynamics for improved range and efficiency. Some Tesla fans have also made cool renders that give us some insight into what we expect this car will look like. Those sleek headlights really give this car a great visual update that makes it look as futuristic on the outside as it will feel on the inside. The new Model 3 was a huge improvement over its predecessor, and while the Model Y is still a great vehicle, it can't help but feel a little dated by comparison. Over in China, we are seeing some signs that point towards Tesla starting the initial preparations for Juniper production. Giga Shanghai is well known to be Tesla's most productive factory, but we are seeing them make big cuts to their ongoing Model Y production. Output of that vehicle fell by 18% in March and 33% in April when compared to last year. This could be related to slowdowns that Tesla is facing in the Chinese market, but it could also point towards the start of line upgrades to facilitate the refreshed model. We saw Tesla implement similar slowdowns in the lead up to the Model 3, so this could point towards upgrades coming soon. As it stands right now, Tesla has told us not to expect the Juniper Model Y to be released anytime this year, at least in North America. Given what we are seeing from both Berlin and China, Tesla does seem to be gearing up towards the arrival of this vehicle soon though. Tesla is well known to change plans quite a bit, so this could even change in all markets. With that said, the Highland Model 3 arrived in China and Europe first, before it was released several months later in North America. If this pattern repeats itself, we could see the Juniper Model Y come out sometime later this year in Europe and Asia, and then come to North America sometime early next year. The difference here is the Model Y comes out of their Berlin factory and Shanghai factory, versus the Model 3 only comes out of Shanghai to serve those markets. So if they are going to bring it to Europe and Asia first, it will have to come out of both of those factories simultaneously and then make its way to North America if they don't do it all at the same time. Given that most trims of the new Model 3 are currently unavailable for the federal EV tax credit, I hope that when this car comes to the US that the Juniper Model Y will still be eligible like it is now. It seems like it totally should, since it will simply be carrying over the same battery pack as the Model Y has now. Ultimately, I can't wait to see what other exciting features come to this car when that refresh is officially announced, and in particular, I'm excited to see ride quality and cabin noise improve. Those improvements could finally be what make this car feel like the ultimate luxury SUV, which happens to be widely available and electric. What are your thoughts though? Are you waiting for Tesla to release the Model Y Juniper before buying one? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, Tesla's recent firing of their Supercharger team has seemingly turned the entire fast charging industry on its head. Since the mass layoff, Tesla has reportedly been hiring back some of the affected employees, but other charging companies saw this as a great opportunity to seize what Tesla presented them. While the automaker has made assurances that this will only create a minor slowdown for their Supercharger rollout, a lot of other providers are scrambling to fill a perceived gap in the market. Even though Tesla is trying to rehire some of the laid-off charging team, a lot of other companies have been quick to start hiring them first. The Supercharger team was responsible for rolling out the most robust charging network in the world, so these companies stand to gain a lot of accumulated knowledge and experience by hiring them. For example, the Atlanta-based company EnviroSpark has hired a dozen former Tesla employees to help roll out their charging network. EVgo has been talking with a lot of former Tesla employees, and Revel just recently hired a longtime Tesla charging veteran to lead their design and production teams. As we've discussed before, BP is also looking to build a massive charging network, and part of their plans now include buying some of the charging sites that Tesla has now left on hold. A lot of this growth is further fueled by a desire to get some of the federal grant money that Tesla had previously been one of the largest recipients of. EnviroSpark, for example, just recently received $15 million to further expand their charging network, only shortly after Tesla announced their mass layoffs. The National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, or NEVI program, will be a major boon to charger growth, and plenty of companies are stepping up to get some of the $5 billion that has been set aside to help fund the program. Guidelines for that program call for 150 kilowatt chargers to be installed at least every 50 miles, which would require over 1,000 new stations to be built nationwide. Tesla has been the premier EV charger provider for a while now, but it seems like that lead may be disappearing soon if these other companies can really catch up. The ramifications of the Supercharger layoffs seem to be having an impact on plenty of automakers beyond just Tesla, though. Ford and Rivian both recently started offering adapters for their vehicles that allowed their drivers to access the Supercharger network. Tesla also opened them up to those vehicles. A great majority of the other large EV manufacturers were expected to be gaining access quite soon, but now that rollout seems to be a bit on hold. Both GM and Polestar were previously expected to gain access to the Supercharger network this spring, but both automakers have now pushed their dates back to sometime in summer. A lot of customers were very pleased with the seamless Supercharger integration that they saw in their Rivians, so hopefully these layoffs won't impact the quality of other brands' future Supercharger rollout. With the standardization of NECS, Tesla could intentionally be shifting away from charger production so that others can really take the reins. Given the scale and quality of the Tesla network compared to many other providers, though, one can't help but be a little disappointed with Tesla's shift here or their change of pace. We'll have to see how it all shapes up, though, because Tesla could still remain ahead even if they slow down their rollout. Next up today, while Tesla started in California and their largest factory is in Texas, a lot of people might be surprised to learn that Tesla isn't incorporated in either of those states. For a while now, Tesla has technically been based out of Delaware, a state where many companies set up shop due to their generous laws and policies towards corporations. Well, after some lingering legal disputes in the state, Tesla is trying to move out of Delaware and reincorporate elsewhere. Recently, Tesla sent out a letter to their shareholders titled, "Texas is already our business home. We need to make it our legal home too." They go on to explain that in the last few years, Tesla moved their corporate headquarters to Texas, and that Gigafactory Texas has become their principal manufacturing facility. As such, Tesla is asking their shareholders to vote in favor of relocating Tesla's legal home to Texas, a state that they claim, quote, has a legal regime that will enable us to advance our world-changing mission. They argue that moving to Texas will allow them to deepen their relationships with communities and government within the state. They say, quote, "We need to be incorporated in a state that we believe will protect stockholder rights, while at the same time support the kind of innovation that has driven the strong stockholder returns you have enjoyed over the past several years. That state is Texas." Of course, making a big move like this has attracted a lot of debate amongst the shareholders and Tesla enthusiasts in general. Moving to Texas could genuinely help Tesla to stay innovative, but others have their reservations. Although Texas has a major presence in that state, Texas has some laws on the books that make a key feature of Tesla's business more complicated than in most other states. Texas currently has laws that ban the direct sale of a car from the manufacturer directly to the consumer, which is Tesla's main business model. In order to get around that, Texas has to ship their cars out of Texas so that customers can buy them out of state and have them delivered back to them. It's a weird legal situation that Tesla and Texas have been in for years now, and it doesn't seem to be changing. No matter how much Tesla has pushed for this change, Texas hasn't budged. If they aren't willing to concede on an issue like this, people worry that they won't be too friendly with Tesla on the long term. Others worry that this move is a bit more personally motivated by Elon than just making business sense. Tesla has been locked in a major battle with Delaware for a while now after the state blocked Elon from receiving a compensation package. Alongside the vote to move to Texas, Tesla's board chair urges shareholders to vote in favor of Elon's compensation package. We see a big mix of some people being incredibly for this compensation package, whereas others in certain forms are against it. Elon has talked a lot about not wanting to pursue further AI research within Tesla unless he received a larger voting share within the company, which he would be granted by this compensation package. So while this move to Texas could be good for the company, others can't help but feel like it's primarily driven by getting Elon his compensation package, which for some could be a good thing at the same time. If you are a Tesla shareholder, then you do have the option of casting a vote for both the Texas move and Elon's compensation package. Regardless of how you vote, if you prove to Tesla that you voted, then the company is offering the chance to win a very special prize. If you were a stockholder prior to April 15th of this year and vote before June 9th, then you can enter into a sweepstakes to get a guided tour of Giga Texas. The tour will be headed by Elon Musk and Tesla's head of design, Franz von Holzhausen. You don't have to have voted in any particular way, but you must prove that you did vote. So if you are a Tesla shareholder, then you have the opportunity to make your voice heard and potentially even win a tour of Giga Texas. What do you think though? Should the shareholder vote to move to Texas? Will this actually be beneficial to the company? Let me know in the comments below. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. As automakers race to get a truly affordable electric vehicle to market, VW has just announced plans that make their EV future very exciting. The company has announced that they will be releasing new affordable electric options in 2027 starting at just $22,000. A few weeks ago, VW announced that they were ending their partnership with Renault to build an affordable EV together, but that hasn't slowed the German automaker's plans to electrify the masses. Last year, they showed off a concept for an affordable ID2 All design that would cost somewhere around $27,000. With this car, perhaps called an ID1, the company is aiming for an even lower price that should make it even more popular. The ID2 is expected to get around 279 miles of range, and we can assume that this more affordable model will likely offer smaller battery packs as a way of cutting costs. The ID2 should be arriving sometime in 2026, a year that should be seeing a lot of affordable EVs hitting the market, like the Rivian R2 and an upcoming model from Ford. If their upcoming cars deliver a solid EV experience in an affordable form factor, then VW could suddenly find themselves a frontrunner in the increasingly tight EV market. Additionally, VW has pushed back the introduction of their ID7 electric sedan in the US. They announced that it would be delayed and have not given a specific date for when it will be released. They have already introduced this vehicle in Europe and China, and before this announcement, we are expecting this car to be released in North America in 2025. The reason they gave for this delay was market conditions, and they didn't go into much detail from there. It's possible they don't believe a sedan will do well in the US because SUVs are so popular here. Another hypothesis is simply that they aren't ready to introduce a new vehicle with sales of their other vehicles not doing so well. As Electrek points out, the North American EV market grew by about 13% in 2023, but VW saw a sales decrease of 3%. The ID7 is reportedly doing very well in Europe, so hopefully we'll hear soon if it will be released in North America after all. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to hear the details for Tesla's biggest competitor, BYD, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.